Following the last meeting of the council, I thought it might be helpful to members for a wider public view of the issues of grants for business support sought. As such, I conducted both a paper and online survey on the topic, and I hope the results will help inform the decision as it is vital that residents' wishes are not disregarded in the disposal of their money. I appreciate that you may not like the survey itself in terms of its wording or may question the impartiality of the questioner, but there has been no difference in the results of either.
Excuse me, would you mind speaking into that microphone? I got called up on that in a second. Thank you.
There's been no difference in the results of either the online survey, in which there's no direct contact, or the paper version. I would therefore ask you to either accept the results as accurate or conduct a survey of your own to confirm them. 711 residents took part over a period of weeks over both towns, 89% of whom support grants that are awarded to community groups, 74% of support grants awarded to local schools or for recreational activity, and only 7% support grants for the support of business. When compared to the level of grant funding that is provided for business support over recent years, it is fair to say it is not in line with the public's wishes. 87% of respondents felt that they would find it easier to understand where grant funding was going if grants were awarded under a different budget heading, though 65% of respondents felt it was difficult to find information at all on the Town Council's website, and only 3% reported it as being easy to use. When asked if it was appropriate for the Town Council to provide grants to commercial enterprise, and if they should only be granted to the retail sector, 84% felt this was not acceptable. The comments given would indicate that in some circumstances such grants may be acceptable, such as the Christmas lights, but overall it is not supported, and if it is, the majority of people do not feel it is acceptable for only the retail sector to benefit. 74% of respondents felt there should be an expectation that if grants have been awarded to business, there should be evidence that the grant has resulted in increased employment. 98% of all respondents live within a joint parish. When asked if the council spends money wisely, 89% of respondents answered no. 76% of all respondents did not feel that the council's decision-making reflected their views. Most worryingly, in my own view, when asked, do you believe your council and its councillors behave in a way that reflects the noble principles of public life, 88% of all respondents answered no. The comments provided indicated the deep mistrust of councillors and a perception, whether real or perceived, of decisions being based more on political agendas and cronyism than what best serves the needs of the residents of the towns. I can only urge you to carefully consider the proposal that was brought to you at full council. That residents have seen this proposal before answering. It is supported widely by the public and will ensure a consistent and open approach by this council going forwards. Councillors are not elected to override the public will, but simply to represent it. I would further urge this council to consider both making changes to the current website, which the majority of members of the public report to be difficult to use, and further consider its position in regards to the use of social media. Failing to get to grips with what for many people within your community is a primary means of communication is building a needless barrier between you and your residents. East Constable Parish Council, which is much smaller and has far fewer resources, have long since recognised the benefits of this approach. And I hope that you will bear this in mind when you make a decision regarding the proposal that was brought to you at the last full council. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sorry, Mrs. King, do you want to respond?
I was interested to hear you had a survey. I live in the centre of Highbridge. No one's ever asked me to survey. I've not seen a survey, either online or in paper.
Can I answer that? That I am one individual. I am not an elected representative of anybody. It has been on burnhallc.com. It has been on Facebook, it's been on Twitter, it's been emailed. People have been out on doorsteps with paper version of that survey. And I am sorry if somehow you have not been aware of it, but certainly it has been widely circulated.
Population of what? 20,000 in the combined parish, and only 711 took part? I think there has to be a question asked of the validity.
Thank you. I don't intend this to be a complete talk shop. So Councillor Clayton.
Could you clarify, you just said it's been on BurnleyOnSea.com,
Yes.
a news item on
No,
BurnleyOnSea.com?
it's been on the forum.
On the
And it-
forum, oh yeah.
Well, okay,
Same
Thank
thing.
you.
that's all very, very well.
Yes.
But as councillors, it is your duty to make sure that you know your
Yeah, let's say I'm
Right.
Chairman.
It's not in my duty to go to any particular website.
Thank
I
you.
don't use Facebook.
I'll take one more question from Councillor Parks.
Chairman, I think with respect to elected members, and given that they're much more long-standing than I am, we have to take into account that the survey actually had 711 residents participating, of which a large number of them had the view that they were not happy with the current system. They had that view. Now, I take into account what other members are saying in terms of numbers, but the fact remains there were valid responses. There were over 700 people, local people, that were not happy with the current system, and I think as a council we have to take that into account.
Can I ask?
Yes, sorry, Councillor.
Do we know if that's 700 individual people, or could it, under that system, have been 10 people doing it 70 times?
No, it cannot, because the website being used has, without getting too technical about it, it bars repeated application.
All right.
And any physical contact with a person, you're physically identifying that you're not actually dealing with the same person all the time.
Right, thank you for your time, very much appreciated. It will be noted, it will be put in. Fortunately, things have changed. I've not been aware of it in the last couple of minutes. I thought we lived in a democracy. And the reason that my father and a lot of people's fathers and grandfathers to save this country, to stay and work in a democracy where we're all allowed to vote, we've got a free vote, and no doubt when it comes to voting time, at next district, council elections, whatever, if the people feel that way, that is their right to use the vote as a democratic country. Thank you, but that will be noted.